the live streaming. It's Tuesday. Means it's the day after the Cowgirls live show. And I want to thank those of you who came in and showed some support for Sarah's show last night at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. That was nice of those of you who did that. It's going to be off. She's going to be off the next 2 weeks because the next Monday is Christmas Eve and the Monday after that is New Year's Eve. So we're going to take two. We're going to take 2 weeks off on that show. So you got 3 weeks to plan your shows for Sarah. And I also want to announce that I'm going to be doing some live shows down from the Durwood estate. I'm going to be down there over the holidays, and I will plan on doing some live streams using Google Hangouts. And so those of you that have a webcam and a decent internet connection and want to join in, I'll be sharing the link when I do the show. And anyone that wants to pop in can pop in. Now, of course, this is a family-friendly channel, so no marginal behavior will be tolerated. I have got to get a haircut. I've been putting it off and putting it off, but I've got to get a haircut. Probably Thursday. Headed out of here on Thursday, go down to the Durwood estate, and then I'll be down there probably until the new year. I might come back up here one time. Only about an hour drive down there. Not a big deal, but anyway, that's what's going on. So here's the deal. Just bought a new Tudor. I love it. Quality is on par with Patek Philippe. Perfect. We'll talk about that too in a little while. But anyway, so I was watching one of Tim's broadcasts. You know, the watch box. He's really good. I mean, he's just a freaking genius, that guy. I mean, he is. I mean, some people are just geniuses, right? He's a genius. So he made a comment, and he gives some good advice sometimes about buying watches. He tells people they shouldn't go in debt to buy a watch and things like that. So he made a comment about these watches are frivolous, these luxury watches. And I would have to agree. A lot of the ones he showed on that particular show were frivolous. I mean, they're ugly watches that have no real use case. I mean, you wouldn't want to wear one of them, right? So, I mean, what good is a wristwatch if you wouldn't want to wear it? Like, for example, if you had a collection of Tudors, right? You don't want to wear those things, right? You want to keep them hid somewhere, right? Hopefully nobody will see them. That is frivolous, all right? But I think I can make a legitimate argument that watches that are well-designed, that are gorgeous on wrist, and that serve a real legitimate purpose. For example, a dress watch kind of rounds out your attire, right? It's a nice accessory, just like a nice belt, just like a nice pair of shoes, right? You have to have all of those things to be relatively well-dressed. So I would make an argument that a dress watch is part of that process, right? A sport watch, like, for example, this Grand Seiko Stunner here, this spring drive diver, I would make an argument that if you're in a profession that requires you to know the time and that you have a lot of time-sensitive things going on, I can make the argument that having a very legible watch that you can read at a glance and that is always going to be accurate, I can make an argument that that is a very useful tool. And people say, well, I've got a phone. Well, sometimes you don't want to fumble with your phone. Sometimes your hands are full. Like, I'm a photographer. Sometimes I have a camera in my hand and so on. I don't want to have to fumble with my phone. And I do this often when I'm covering events. Somebody will say, well, come back in 10 minutes. You know, I'm trying to interview somebody or whatever, right? And they'll say, come back in 10 minutes or whatever. You know, we'll give you 30 seconds, right? And I'm going to be back there in 10 minutes. You know, I'm going to pay attention to the time, and I'm going to respect them, and I'm going to be there when they told me to. I call into a local radio station here from time to time, and every Saturday morning, and then other times during the week sometimes. And they'll a lot of times they'll give me a precise time to call in, because they'll free up a line, and I can call and I can get right in. And it's a timing thing, right? And like they start 6 minutes after the hour and so on. They might want me to call at 6 minutes, 30 seconds, right? They don't want me to call at 6 minutes, 45 seconds, right? And I don't want to have to fumble with my phone and use my phone as a watch. I mean, people make that argument all the time, but these are people that don't do things that are time sensitive. So I think that's a false argument. It's a weak argument at best. Now, if you have a profession where time doesn't matter, then a lot of these points I'm making are moot points. So I think it depends on what you do and how much of a benefit the watch is to you as a tool, as to whether or not it is frivolous or not. I would agree with Tim in that people that collect a whole bunch of watches and rarely wear them, and a lot of them are marginal at best, a lot of them are ugly watches, I would agree that that's very frivolous. It's also wasteful. I would absolutely agree with that. But I think if you buy the right watch that can meet your needs and hopefully enhance your income, then I think it is not frivolous. Hey, Craig, you mentioned to skip the tutor, but what time price would you recommend if I wanted to increase my tips on my pizza delivery job? I think a 9F powered Grand Seiko, a Grand Seiko quartz for the same money as the Tudor. I think that would be a better play for the pizza delivery, because of course it would be spot on accurate. And again, you might have a situation where somebody says, hey, bring the pizzas at such and such a time. You know, maybe it's a surprise party or whatever, and they want them brought at just a certain time. It might be useful to have a watch that is accurate. And of course, the Tudor is not going to be accurate. They're pretty much a piece of junk. So I think I would go with a 9F quartz in that type of use case. Absolutely, I would do that. So, okay, so here's the other thing. I got an email a little while ago. Somebody sent me an email about one of these articles saying that Bitcoin is dead. You know, we're getting all these Bitcoin is dead articles, right? And so he sent me this article that I think it's a Bloomberg article or something. Well, let me pull up my email here. I think I have it here. Okay. Okay. It's Business Insider. I'm sorry. So I'll pull up the article here and I'll show you this. I'll screen share. So, you know, too costly to mine, blah, blah, blah. So basically, you know, the whole thing's going to have to shut down. And then they show a picture of like an empty warehouse, right? And so here's the thing about all this that these people don't understand. Bitcoin has been pronounced dead hundreds of times, like 300 plus times, by major media outlets. Okay, I'm not talking about just blog posts. I'm talking about major announcements, right? It's just absolutely dead. It's finished, kaput, right? Over the last 10 years, right? There's been all these times when Bitcoin has died. Bitcoin is absolutely, positively the honey badger. I mean, it is proven over the 10 years that it is very hard to kill. Now, somebody might successfully kill it at some point, but I wouldn't bet on it. And the mining thing is a non-issue, because here's the thing: there are miners out there that are very long-term thinkers. There are miners that have sunk hundreds of millions of dollars into mining operation. There are miners that have paid for electricity, off-peak electricity from like hydroelectric dams and stuff that have signed long-term contracts that are getting great rates on electricity because they're right near the dam and they're buying it, basically electricity that would be lost if they didn't buy it, right? So it's like found money to the utility company, right? So there are miners that are very smart, I guess is what I'm saying, and they're not going anywhere. It's the folks that overextended themselves, that didn't have good business plans, and that, you know, yada, yada, yada. I mean, it's basically a very competitive environment, the Bitcoin mining space. And it's always been that way. And the difficulty algorithm adjusts if the price goes down. So the price is lower now. The difficulty to mine them will be adjusted accordingly. And so it's all built into the system that, you know, when this was designed, this whole thing, these people were geniuses, all right, that designed it. So, yeah, I wouldn't listen to Business Insider because whoever wrote that article, if he had half a brain, he would have bought Bitcoin about 5 years ago, and he'd be like sitting on a beach somewhere and be filthy rich, right? And instead, he's writing articles for Business Insider. So that kind of tells you that he doesn't know what he's talking about. So there's that. All right, let's see. Let's get caught up on the on the genius level comments in here. Speaking of geniuses, I think people should not buy Rolexes or Hugo Boss suits in order to invest in those products. They should buy those products in order to invest in themselves. Yeah, I would pass on the Hugo Boss suits, though. I think you can make better choices there, but yeah, and I don't think the term invest. See, that's the problem. The term invest has been used so loosely that you know, I hear mechanics say I'm investing in tools. You know, no, you're not investing in tools. That's just an expense. You're buying a tool and you're going to use it. It's not an investment. It's an expense. Okay, an investment is a certain kind of a thing, right? And you can't apply that concept to everything you buy as an investment. I'm going to take my wife out to dinner. That's an investment in our relationship. You know, I mean, no, it's not an investment. It's an expense. It's an expenditure, is what it is. So that's the problem. Is people have the wrong mindset, and it's the public education system that is totally garbage. That is cranking out people that are so clueless. It's beyond the pale that they have no common sense, they have no sense at all, and they're graduating, you know, through 12 years of public school. Just become an upper-class hooker and buy a Rolex. Well, there you go, if you got the looks for it. I tried on a Black Bay 36, thinking it will be like the Explorer. It's put me right off tutor. The quality wasn't what I expected, and the hands are just off. It's just they're ugly. They're so watch at best. Hi, Craig. Nice to see you again. When I don't have watch, I feel naked, and people don't want to see me naked. I don't care about shirts, trousers, shoes, but I love my watches. Yeah, but see, that's not balanced, though. You really should start caring about all the things. And I'm not saying always dress in a suit and tie like I'm dressed right now. I'm just doing this out of respect for my audience, right? I don't always dress like this. But if you wear a nice pair of Bill's khakis, wear a nice like button-down Oxford shirt, wear a nice belt, some nice shoes. You can. And somebody asked me about shoes the other day. I'll show some shoes here in a little while. You know, you can dress casually and still dress really nice. And still, when you enter a room, people will think, hey, this person has their act together, right? And there's no downside to that. There's no downside to people when they meet you or interact with you thinking, hey, this person has their act together. It's not a negative thing. Okay? When people panic, you buy. When people love, you sell. There you go. But on Bitcoin, I don't sell. I just accumulate. I'm very greedy. I just want to have a lot. I want to have more. More. Oh, my God. Craig, why is the year 2024 in particular the year you will consider selling your stock in Bitcoin? Okay, so Hannah, Sarah's my cousin. Cool. I hope that's true. She is a fantastic young lady. Okay, so the next halving is 2020. That's when they cut the reward for mining in half. Around, it's going to happen around June of 2020, right? So that's the next halving. 4 years later, they're every 4 years, there will be another halving. Okay? So that is just the target that I've set for myself to possibly sell some of my Bitcoin. I'm definitely not going to sell any until then, right? And I may not sell any even then. All right? Like I said, I'm greedy. I want to accumulate as much as possible. But that's the reason why 2024 has some significance. Because it'll be two more halvings. There'll be one in 20 and one in 2024. So the supply is going to continue to get restricted, the amount of new Bitcoin that's created. So if the demand for new Bitcoin remains constant and the supply keeps getting cut in half, what does that mean for price? Right? Now, that's assuming demand stays at least constant for new Bitcoin I'm talking about now. Can I have your thoughts on XRP Ripple? Yes. Pass. It's a total scam. There's no reason to buy it. It's centralized. I would pass on all the altcoins. Look up Bitcoin halving. There you go. During full moon nights, Craig whips out all his gangster clothing. He's going to show us his Nike sneaker collection. I do have some Nike tennis shoes, high-end tennis shoes that I've used that I like. What do you think of, I don't know what Yeezys is. Do I have to Google that? Let me see what that is. And then we'll show you some shoes. I'll give you some examples. So somebody asked me about shoes the other day, and I should have just showed them. Tried to explain to, oh, okay, I see them. They're like $500. I see the shoes. There's a pair here that's $500 at least. Yeah, okay, so here's the deal with shoes. I used to wear New Balance running shoes. I used to wear them for walking, and they were comfortable and all that. And I wore the ones that were made in the USA. You know, I always like to buy USA-made stuff if I can. So I had New Balance 1500s. I had New Balance 993s. I had various kind of higher-end ones that I wore. And believe it or not, for walking and the things I do, I discovered that the moccasin-based shoes are much more comfortable because of the construction. The leather wraps up underneath your foot, and then it's stitched around the top. And it just, when you walk, everything, it's just so much more comfortable. So I'm going to go through a bunch of shoes here real quick, and I will explain which ones are moccasin-style construction. And you're going to see that most of them are. All right, again, this is on my Flickr channel. All I did was just search shoes. And those ones on the left, those are, I think, most of them in that picture, except for the ones in the bottom right-hand corner, those are Sperry topsiders. The others are Ralph Lauren Tedford 2s that they used to make in the U.S., and it was made by a company up in, here, let me go here. Yeah, it was made by Rancourt and Company, I believe these were made by, which is made up in Maine. And it's your typical boat shoe, right? But it's the moccasin-style construction that makes these things so comfortable. And I didn't know that for many years. I didn't know why they were so comfortable, right? And a lot of these I bought new old stock. They don't make these anymore in the U.S. So I bought some of them new old stock, so I have them. So if I ever wear out my other ones, I'll have these as a backup. And these were made in Maine. These are topsiders made in Maine collection, which, again, I don't think they do that anymore. They came out with a whole line of made in Maine. They opened up a factory, reopened a factory that had been closed and started making them in Maine. There's a video about it on YouTube. It's pretty interesting. And they did that for a while, and I think they've given up the ghost again, and I don't think they're doing it. This is another pair of those Tedford shoes. Now, these are made by another company, but again, made in Maine, and these are like a Chukka boot. These are made by Oak Street boot makers, but they're made by Highland Shoe Company in Maine. Okay, that's one of the few companies that still makes shoes up in Maine. And see, they're hand-stitched around the toe area there, that stitching you see. That's all hand-stitched. And they're just exceptionally comfortable. This particular pair is made of buffalo leather. It's about a $400 or $500 pair of shoes. Now, these are extremely comfortable. These are made by Russell Moccasin Company, and that's in Berlin, Wisconsin. And they're in business still. And they'll make them to measure for your feet. And when you have them made to measure, they really do fit nice. And again, just super comfortable. And you can see how that leather wraps up around. There's actually 2 layers of leather underneath your foot. The leather goes up halfway there. That's stitched right there. And then the leather stitched at the top. That's all hand-stitched. There's a special stitching that they have to do that you can't do with a machine. And I don't know where that picture... Oh, that's from Steve's... that's from Steve's event. Oh, there's Sophia. All right, let's go back to the search because I got to see if there were any more pictures of shoes that here's some boots. This was a client that I shot some pictures. Oh, those boots right there, those work boots, those are made in the U.S. Those are just at a client's place. I didn't buy them. Okay, here's a pair. This Chukka boot in the middle there. That's also part of the Made in Maine collection that I just mentioned by Sperry. And I snatched a pair of those before they went out of business. Those Timberlands to the right of that, those are vintage. Those were brand new old stock that I bought on eBay. Those, you see the brass eyelets around there? Again, moccasin-style construction, extremely comfortable. And I'm not exaggerating how comfortable these shoes are. And, of course, there's some straight-up moccasins there. And let's see if I can find any that are any different, that have any interest at all. There's the Nike tennis shoes, Nike Vapors. Those are that's, one of the pairs I used for tennis. Here's a really old pair that I bought back in like 1982, Timberlands. Again, notice the solid brass eyelets. You can see the green around them, but they're turning green because it's brass, right? And so that was back in the day when Timberland really made some quality stuff before they started making everything in China and everything went to crap. So I think that's about it. So anyhow, I really have discovered in the last 10, 20 years that the moccasin construction is really the way to go. And, okay, so now, thanks for recommending Russell Mocks. They're amazing. You have a pair of them. Let's say, okay. Alligator versus crocodile. Alligator has some benefits to it. It's more expensive. Like, for example, if you get alligator boots versus crocodile boots, the alligator is going to be more expensive. There are some benefits to the alligator. I have a couple of alligator belts that are really nice. I have a crocodile belt that's nice. It depends on who made it and all. There are a lot of other variables. But alligator would probably be your first choice if you can get it. I had a pair of boots that were saltwater turtle. Can't buy them anymore. That's outlawed. But they were fantastic. But they didn't fit as good as my Lucchese's, so I ended up selling them. My Lucchese's, I had both of them custom made, so they fit a lot better. my feet are slightly two different sizes, so it really helps to have them custom made. Thanks for recommending Russell. Okay, I like them. I like the black brown ones. Okay, Native Americans had the right idea when they crafted and wore moccasins. Yeah. Just it's amazing how comfortable a well-made moccasin is. What is your general opinion about Allen Edmonds and Crockett and Jones? I prefer, for dress shoes, I prefer Churches. I have the Customs Churches that I really like, and they're comfortable and they hold up. They wear like iron. Let me pull up a picture of those if I can find them here. And I used to wear Johnson and Murphy before that. But I bought this pair of Churches when I was up in New York back in probably 1982 or so, and I really liked them, and so I bought a couple of other pairs of them. There's a nice young lady selling some liquor. So yeah, I would prefer Churches, but Allen Edmonds are okay. I have not owned a pair of Crockett and Jones. I did own one pair of Allen Edmonds, and they were all right, but they weren't anything to write home about like the Churches were. And I'm talking about the Churches, the high-end ones, the what they call their custom grade. Those are the ones. And you search on eBay, you'll find a bunch of them. Evening, Craig, and everyone else. Hello. Just happened to see a flat track photo when showing the deck shoes. Are you a fan? Flat track racing, like motorcycle racing, or yeah. I mean, I have a client down here, Fredericktown Yamaha, that puts on a race once a year called the Barbara Fritchie Classic, and I cover that a lot of times for them. So yeah, it's fun stuff. What do you think of shell cordovan shoes? Well, that's a type of a leather, and it's okay. Yeah, it's good stuff. Like I say, for dress shoes, I like the wingtips, and those are ranch oxhide. These ones I showed you, where are they? Let me go back here. These are made of ranch oxhide. These are very tough, very durable, hard to get a ding on those puppies. And yet I still think they look good. So you get the, oh, I'm not showing it. I'm sorry. There you go. Ranch oxhide. So, you know, you get a very durable, but I think it's still a good looking shoe. And I like the grain to the leather. It almost looks like buffalo almost. So it's a little something different. That's what those were. Have you ever owned a Patek? No, I have not. No, I haven't been big into dress watches. I had a Rolex that was not a Cellini, but it was a dress watch that was steel. I had it for quite a while. I ended up selling it on eBay a couple years ago because I just stopped wearing it. So I would consider one, but man, I'm so happy with this puppy. It's just so nice to have a watch that's just spot on accurate, that you don't have to worry about, that's extremely rugged. The 9F movement is extremely rugged. And I heard somebody say that that you have to be careful with, like, I think it was Tim. He was talking about Grand Seikos and taking care of them and servicing them and all this. And first of all, he said you should service them every 3 years. I'm like, yeah, okay. You can make somebody rich, not yourself. You're going to make yourself poor, but you're going to make somebody else rich. Then he started talking about how, like, if you're windsurfing or you're doing anything where it can get like a shock or whatever, you know, to take it off and all this stuff. Yeah, like you're supposed to pamper your watch, right? Let me tell you something. We've never pampered any of our watches. We wear our watches. We don't take our watches off our freaking wrist. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's the easiest way to lose a high-end watch, is to take it off your wrist. So I really don't want a watch that is fragile, that I have to worry about. So I'd be a little bit scared of a Patek Philippe and, you know, maybe harming it. Maybe I shouldn't worry about that. Maybe they're very durable. But that's the thing I like about this dress watch. Even though it's a dress watch, the movement is known for being extremely robust. So it's kind of like, you cancel out the fact that it's a dress watch, that fragility that you might normally have. The 9F kind of just cancels that whole worry out of the equation. And of course, this monster here, I'm sure it can take a pounding. I mean, the spring drive is also known to be extremely robust, because one of the things that can fail in a watch with shock and so forth is the escapement mechanism. And of course, this doesn't have a typical escapement mechanism. So that worry is out the window. Patek are super expensive, also super expensive to service, way over my ability to afford. Are they a little bit on the fragile side too, where they can't take a lot of abuse? I've heard that. I don't know if it's true. Again, a lot of false information out there. Churches are great shoes, just like Christie's for hats. I'm not familiar with that. What do you think about Checkers? If it's what I'm thinking of, I would pass. But let me pull it up here. Let me pull it up here. See, I'm into very practical stuff. That's why I put that Frivolous thing. Yeah, Skechers. Yeah, I see what you're talking about. No, I'd pass on any of those. Yeah. I would take a pass on the Skechers. Any of the trendy stuff, I'm kind of going to pass on all that stuff. Seiko, Rolex, Omega, Oris, Longines is all I need in my life. No JLC, the Patek. Yeah. And here's the thing. I mean, what I was trying to get across in this whole discussion is buy watches you can wear and enjoy, that you don't have to pamper, that are not frivolous. If you're putting something off to the side somewhere and collecting it, right, that's very frivolous. These are tools. These are made to be on a wrist. That's why they're called a wrist watch, okay? So that's the thing. All right. Do you consider the Day-Date to be a dressy sport watch or a sporty, a dressy sport watch or a sporty, a dressy sports watch or a sporty dress watch? Okay. Yeah, it's kind of an in-betweener. It is kind of a do-everything watch. We talked about that the other day. It's a watch that you can wear all the time. They're very rugged. They hold up very well. As a matter of fact, the way the President bracelet is designed, it doesn't scratch. It doesn't, I mean, it gets a little patina on it, but it just, because of the way it's curved and all, it just is, right? And I got almost no scratches on my case in 20 years of daily use. I mean, almost daily use. I can't, I mean, the thing just holds up great. Now, I generally had a sport watch during that whole time frame. So if I was doing anything really risky, I was generally wearing the sport watch, right? So I'm not recommending that you wear the Day-Date if you're out working in the garden and a bunch of dirt's flying around and, shovels are banging against things and so on. So, you got to use a little bit of common sense. But, I mean, even having said that, you probably could wear it in any circumstance like that. I mean, you could probably wear it all the time. That's what's his name? Jack Nicklaus. He wears his all the time. He doesn't wear it when he's actually golfing. It's in his golf bag. But other than that, he said he wore it all the time, his whole adult life. It was his only watch. It was his first watch and his only watch. Now, how cool is that? These things were made to be used. I don't get this I really don't get this collecting thing. It's like, my God, people, wear your watches and don't sit there and sweat whether or not they're going to get a little scratch on them. Life is too short for all that nonsense. It makes no sense, people. They won't listen to me. Let's see. Have you got around to check? No, I haven't checked the Omegas yet. Probably won't be until after the first of the year. I'm pretty much 100% sure now it won't be until after the first of the year. I saw Floyd Mayweather wearing his $7 million diamond watch, and it's the ugliest piece of crap I've ever seen. I can imagine. Money doesn't give people taste. Jaeger LeCoultre, used to put their movements in the Nautilus and Royal Oak, and they were notorious for unreliability, high servicing costs, and breaking constantly at what a Rolex would shrug off. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes no sense to have fragile watches. I mean, I've said many times, if this watch here, for example, if it gives trouble, it's out of here. It is gone on the next train. It is out of here. I demand reliability, and I demand my watches be rugged, my sport watches, and my dress watch. I want my dress watch to hold up as well. I mean, that's just the way it is. I'm not going to put up with it. Do you regret selling your Snowflake? No, I really don't miss it, Fat Panda. It was actually a little bit of a chore to rotate on and off and give it enough wrist time to keep it running, even though they're very forgiving on that. The spring drives are very efficient the way they wind, but I really prefer wearing the diver because it's easier for me to read. And so it was kind of like I had to go out of my way to put the Snowflake on. Like if I was leaving the house or something, I had to remember, oh, okay, I better put the Snowflake on, right? Now what I do is I wear the diver all the time, and then only when I'm dressing in a suit or something like this, anytime I have shirt sleeves that are all the way down, okay, whether it be French or barrel cuff, that's when I whip out this puppy, and it goes on the wrist. Other than that, all the other times when my sleeves are rolled up or where I'm wearing a polo shirt or whatever, all other times I've got the diver on. So that's my rotation right now, and I'm very comfortable with that. TGV made a nice video about the Grand Seiko. I don't think it was his, but hope it helps the watch world know more about Grand Seiko and spring drive watches. But I'll tell you, there's also a lot of misinformation out there. Our buddy Clive or whatever, you know, had that guy on that was like laying on his bed and talking about spring drives and how you need to service them and how they're only going to last 20 years and all this crap. I mean, just total BS based on no facts at all. You know, these people just pull stuff out of their you-know-where and just blow it around like it's nothing. And I'll tell you what, I would not allow somebody to speak that bilge on my show. I would have stood him right up. I would have said, first of all, you're not going to be laying on your freaking bed sideways and talking this sideways crap out of the side of your mouth to my subscribers. What we're going to do is we're going to straighten you up right now, and we're going to say that you're full of shit. Because first of all, the spring drives haven't even been around long enough for you to make that determination, right? If they've been around 20 years and they're all failing at 20 years, then I can say, okay, they're all going to fail at 20 years. But they haven't even been around 20 years. They've been around something like 15. And the thing is, they've been pretty much bulletproof reliable with a few exceptions. And Steve has been selling them for 3 years. He's had no problems whatsoever with any of them. He hasn't had anybody come back. He hasn't had anybody come to him saying, hey, my spring drive quit. They're extremely robust by all accounts. And here's this idiot sitting on the bed, this watch expert, who probably, you know, has never owned one, who probably doesn't have a freaking clue, who's still wet behind the ears, talking about spring drives like he's an expert. Other than that, I like Clive. I like his shows. So, I don't see many comments on that. Everybody got real quiet in the chat all of a sudden. You know, and here's this guy. This guy comes in with a comment on one of my videos, this Yamoke. Comes in and he says, well, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know anything about Rolexes, right? And I said, well, how long have you been wearing Rolexes, and do you even own one? And how many have you bought new over the last 40 years? Oh, well, you know, I'm saving up and blah, blah, blah. You know, this guy's absolutely, totally clueless, and he's going to tell somebody who's been wearing Rolexes for 40 freaking years, he's going to tell me about Rolexes? Well, good luck on that working out for you. Somebody, hey, Craig, if the Grand Seikos give you trouble and you pack them off Can I send you my address? I'm going to put it on eBay, no reserve, and it's going to be auction, and it's going to go to the highest bidder, and I'll put right in the auction, damn thing failed, it's a piece of crap. If you want it, bid on it, it will be gone. I mean, and I will be pissed, okay? I will tell the freaking world. I mean, I might give them one chance. I might go take it back to the AD and see what they say. But I can tell you right now, it's probably not going to end well. I don't put up with that kind of nonsense. Not on a watch you spend that kind of money for. I don't see it. I have no forgiveness for that kind of nonsense. When you buy a watch brand new and you spend that kind of money, and you buy something that's supposed to be like the creme de la creme, no, it should not fail. The concern with, well, see, that's the other thing. I mean, this guy was talking about that stuff. Well, the integrated circuit is going to fail, and then you're done. Then it's kaput, right? I think he used the term kaput, right? You replace it. It's just a component. Hasn't he watched the video when they assemble them, how they put it together and stuff? It's only got a few components to that escapement mechanism. What they call the, what do they call it? The glide wheel system or whatever it is, So they got another term for it, but it's commonly referred to as glide wheel. I guess that's just the part that goes around. But anyway, that circuitry has a term. It's a few components, right? And guess what? They're going to have them laying around. I mean, it's the same component that they use in a lot of the watches. You think that they're just going to use them all up and there's not going to be any extras anywhere? There's not going to be any spares anywhere? So you think that 20 years from now, for this guy's logic to make any sense, this would have to be the scenario, okay? 20 years from now, your watch fails, this thing blows up. And first of all, it's not going to blow up because there's no battery or capacitor in it. There's nothing in there to blow up. It's a very simple circuit, right? But okay, let's say the thing fails somehow. Some abstract way this thing fails that nobody ever figured out, right? It just comes out of left field and this component fails. And let's say it simultaneously wrecks a few components nearby, right? Okay, some bizarre way, right? That nobody ever thought of. No engineers at Seiko ever thought about any of this stuff, right? So let's say that happens. So for this to play out, Seiko will have had to have stopped manufacturing the components involved. 20 years from now, we're talking about. They will have had to not have any spares, and nobody on eBay was smart enough to buy them up and have some spares available that they could sell at a nice profit. So nobody aftermarket has the part, and Seiko doesn't have the part, and or Seiko's out of business and they won't return your calls. And so you've got a watch that's a paperweight, right? So I think it's a stretch to assume that those things are going to happen. So here's the deal. If all those things happen, you buy another watch after 20 years. I mean, what's the big deal? I don't understand. Somebody explain to me in the chat what I'm supposed to be worried about here. This is ridiculous. I mean, somebody's coming out with a scenario 20 years from now that is totally bizarre, that the chances of it happening are pretty much zero, right? First of all, it's not even going to fail after 20 years. It's still going to be running fine. But let's say it does fail. You're going to take it in and they're going to say for $1,200, just like a Rolex service, right? For $1,200, we'll fix your watch. And they're going to be happy as a pig in muck to fix it because it's only going to cost them about $100 to fix it. They're going to pay a guy $100 to tear their watch apart and put the new part in there. And they're going to put it back together and they're going to give it to you and you're going to give them $1,200. They're going to be happy. I don't get it. Somebody let me know in the chat what I'm missing here. If there's something that I'm missing here. Many of these angry Rolex fanboys are angry because they didn't actually, They don't actually own a Rolex. Most Rolex owners don't care either way. Yeah, most Rolex owners are probably busy working. that's how come they could afford it in the first place. Try synchro regulator. There you go, John. That's right. And it's not that complicated a circuit. It's really ingenious the way it works. And the way it regulates by not even just by an electromagnet, by not even touching the wheel, right? It slows it down with the magnet, so there's no like metal to metal contact at all. I mean, it is in freaking genius. And here's the thing, the way that the thing's wrapped and everything, the way everything's made, it's extremely robust and relatively simple, the circuit. Now, the actual integrated circuit is probably the most complicated thing in the whole thing. And it only has one task, so it's also very simply, very eloquently designed. And the experts that I've heard address this topic that have talked about this have basically said that it's chances are it's just not going to fail. It's not the kind of component that you would typically have a failure with. In other words, probably 100 years from now, it'll be fine. They don't see any indication that there's anything in that circuitry, in that mix there, anything that would be a failure point. I mean, it is extremely robust, is what I've seen experts say. People that really know what the hell they're talking about. Not this guy laying sideways on the bed. Real experts, okay? If Rolex puts a spring drive in a GMT or Submariner, I'll $10K for the steel one. That'd make it worth it. Yeah, but the problem is I don't like the case design. Hey, just buy this. Just get a better watch. I mean, you know, it doesn't have an ugly case on it. And that's titanium so that it doesn't kill your wrist when you're wearing it. So it's comfortable. People say, well, I like a heavy watch. Well, you probably don't wear the watch all the time then. It's probably sitting in your case, your watch case, right? You probably occasionally put it on your wrist and say, I like a heavy watch, and then you take it off again and put it somewhere, and because it's too damn heavy. A lot of these people are full of it, I'm telling you. They don't have a freaking clue about wearing watches. They have a clue about having them sit somewhere, but not wearing them. Craig, electromagnetic components, electronic components go out of production a lot. I'm in electronics, and I assure you it's a problem. No, it is not. No. It's not. They're making the same damn thing for many, many years. They're not changing it every year. It's not like you got to have a certain part number and it like they made it for like 6 months and all of a sudden like there's none of them around. That's not the way this works, okay? That's not the way they're doing. All right, they're making the same component for many, many years. And these people are not stupid. I mean, can you imagine the PR nightmare that they would go through if a major component in a Grand Seiko freaking watch was not available? If people said, hey, I need this component to fix my spring drive, and they said, sorry, we only made that particular doodad for 3 months, and we changed it out with a different little doodad, and it's not backward compatible, and so you just take your watch and throw it in the freaking river as far as we're concerned. Can you imagine the freaking PR nightmare that would be? I think any rational person would say, no, they're probably not going to do that. But again, if they do that, I buy another watch. I'm not married to these damn things. They're tools. You know, these people, some of these people, I think they think that this watch, they're buying this watch and it's something that they've entered into a marriage contract, for God's sakes. People don't even treat their marriage contracts this seriously. And they're treating the watch this seriously. No, you're wrong about the electronic components in this case. Now, if it was some piece of crap, you know, from China, some piece of crap that I bought, you know, that from Walmart, right, that failed 4 years later, then yeah, I would not expect to be able to get the electronic component that failed. But that's not the case here. This is a high-end watch that is made for years, that same movement has been made for years, and that they don't routinely change these components. That's the cool thing about the 9F movement. The Quartz 9F movement is they've made it for years. It's pretty amazing that they've pretty much made the same movement for a long freaking time. I think it's pretty cool. Still wearing my late father's date chest 1601 that he purchased new in 67 and has only ever had one service in 2001. Watches are meant to be worn. Absolutely. See, and here's the other thing about the parts. They've said, Grand Seiko has said 40 years, that we're going to make parts for watches for 40 years from the time they're sold. But that's the time they're last sold, right? So, like say I buy this model here and they've already made it for 10 years. If they make it for another 10 years, the 40 years doesn't start running until then. So now I've got 50 years from now, right? So they've already said 40 years. And Rolex has pretty much said the same thing, kind of informally. They say 40 years. But Rolex does it even longer than that. So they'll see, here's the key. With these high-end watches, they're going to underpromise and overdeliver. They're going to say 40 years, but they'll probably have the parts for 50, 60, 70 years, right? It's no big deal. The part's tiny. There's no big deal having a couple hundred extras laying around, or however many they think they're going to have based on the failure rate. They're going to make money doing the service. So I don't think it's a problem. And again, and first of all, I'm going to be just tickled pink and dancing naked if I'm even around 50 years from now. And half of you all, with your lifestyles, you might not even be around 50 years from now. Oh, my God. You all out there partying all night and, you know, all the women and stuff you're with. I mean, you guys could be a mess in 50 years. Take it from me. So the maxi case is too awkward looking. Absolutely, it's awkward looking. Daytona doesn't have the maxi case, and you can get it in a stunning 18 karat gold too. Yeah, it's okay, but I'd rather just buy a day date and be done with it. It's a better looking watch. Just buy the day date. The President bracelet. The Japanese are world leaders in everything they get involved in, and they have changed the world with their cars and are at the forefront of watch technology. Well, there you go. There you go. Oh, and another guy made a comment about the Lexus that, you know, we were talking about Lexuses the other day, and that he wouldn't buy a 10-year-old luxury car because the parts are so expensive and getting them serviced and all this that you really wouldn't save money. And I said, listen, if you buy a 10-year-old Lexus LS, let's say it's an LS 430. I don't know what the model was 10 years ago. Maybe it was an LS 460 or whatever. But the LS sedan, the big four-door sedan, you buy a 10-year-old one. That would make it a 2008 right now, right? 2008 Lexus LS. You buy it from a little old lady with 48,000 miles on it, garage kept, that she bought new, and that she only drove in good weather. She didn't want to drive it in the rain because she's just scared about driving in the rain. Of course, she never went near any snow, right? So the car is like absolutely brand new. And don't tell me these cars aren't around because I've bought them. So the car is like absolutely 10 years old, but it's absolutely brand spanking new condition. She hasn't even washed the car. So all she did was feather dust it occasionally. Because she never had to take it to the car wash because it was never out in the rain in the first place, and she never drove it fast enough to have a bug smash on the front of it. So the car's absolutely jumping up and down brand new, right? So you buy it from her for $3,500, right? What's wrong with that? You're going to be able to drive that thing indefinitely. You're not going to have to replace diddly squat on it. It's going to be fine for probably another 10 years. They're bulletproof reliable. Okay? So So think about what you're saying before you say something stupid in one of my videos in a comment. Think about what you're saying. I'm not telling you to go out and buy a 10-year-old BMW that's a piece of crap when it's brand new. I'm telling you to go out and buy something that's a fantastic car, like a Toyota or a Lexus, maybe even a Honda, that's been garage kept since new, that's jumping up and down gorgeous, that she had the oil changed regularly and had any servicing needed to be done by somebody who knew what the hell they were doing, so the car's like brand spanking new, and buy it from her and drive it indefinitely. That's how you save money. Okay. I had titanium, but after owning the Snowflake, I love it. I hated titanium. Well, yeah, it depends on the titanium. The alloy that Grand Seiko uses is a whole different ball game. Titanium is not titanium is not titanium. There's different alloys of it. That's what I've been trying to tell people, and people are like, oh, it's titanium, it just scratches too easily. As if I'm worried about if I get a little scratch on my watch, for God's sakes, people. When you purchased pre-owned from Little Treasury, do you see it on their pre-owned page? They never seem to update it. Probably not. You probably got to talk to Steve. I mean, he's busy as can be, and especially this time of the year, I doubt they keep that stuff up to date. I'm a lover of the weight of the titanium watches, but it doesn't feel, but it doesn't half scratch easily. I don't know what you mean by that. Haven't spent much money on servicing my Lexus. No, just change the oil. Stay the hell away from the dealer. Take it to somebody who's reliable, and change the oil in it, maybe the air filter, stuff like that. You know, keep the air coming into it nice and clean, and keep the oil nice and clean. My Prius has the original brakes on it. The 2004. It still has the original brakes, and they still have like 3/4 left on them. I mean, it's been unbelievable, that car. I run Mobil 1 oil in it. I change it every 5,000 miles, whether it needs it or not. It's always clean when I change it. It's still clean. And, hi, Craig, what car are we talking about? I was talking about an LS Lexus, a Lexus LS sedan, because you can get them at a good price because nobody wants them. Everybody wants SUVs. And if you buy a 10-year-old one, you're going to have to move fast, right? When Fern decides to sell it, you know, and it's like brand new and it's in her garage, it's got 48,000 miles on it, you're going to have to move fast because some other smart cookie might grab it before you do. But you get onto a car like that and you grab it. We call those a hyper low mileage one owner car like that, and it's worth paying a premium. Let's say it would be worth $2,500 if it was the run of the mill LS 430 or whatever it was. And let's say it's got that kind of mileage and condition. You pay $1,000 more for it. Pay $3,500 for it. It's worth it. My God, look what you're getting. You're getting a car that's $100,000 new. Even if you paid $5,000 for the damn thing, and I would not get the 12-cylinder. Is the 600 HL, is that a 12-cylinder? I don't know about a LS 600. That sounds like that might be a 12-cylinder. That would scare me to death. Also, what do you think about the current price of Bitcoin? Will it go lower? It might. I've got some buy orders in. I would love to buy more at $1,250. That's my back the train car up and load up number, $1,250. The other day I bought some at about $3,150 at close to the low here recently, but it might go significantly lower than that. I just grabbed some just because I felt like it. I'm just greedy. I just want to get as much as possible. My wife drives a 2003 RAV4, 177K on the clock. Just had its first clutch replaced, never skips a beat. Well, there you go. Mobil 1. Yes, it's synthetic. Mobil 1, yes. Good stuff. Always run synthetic. So the moral of the story is buy good stuff, get as good a deal on it as you can get, especially clothing, stuff like that. You can always get a good deal on that. You know, you can buy a $2,000 suit for $10 at the thrift store if you get lucky and find one in mint condition, right? It's all about condition. I believe it is Scott SJ. Oh, yeah, Mobile One, absolutely, it's synthetic. Good stuff. LS 600HL is a hybrid with an Atkinson Cycle 5-liter V8 and all-wheel drive dual electric motor setup. Wow. Ugh. Sounds complicated, but if it's a Lexus, it's probably good. It's probably good, but I don't think you need all that. I think if you just got a regular sedan, gasoline-powered sedan with the V8, I think you'd be good to go. But yeah, if you could get a real deal on something like that, then fine. The trick is, here's the trick, is it's a 10-year-old luxury sedan. A lot of people don't want them. And also, a lot of people can't buy them because they can't get financed. And believe it or not, even if the car is only like $3,500, a lot of people can't come up with the cash. So that cuts down your audience. If you're the seller, right, you've got a limited audience because you got a certain number of people that don't want one, period. They just want an SUV. They don't want a sedan, right? So that eliminates them. You got a certain number of people that don't have any cash. That eliminates them, right? And you got a certain number of people that won't even consider a 10-year-old car anyway, period, under any circumstances. That eliminates them. So if you step up and you got the cash, sometimes you can get a deal on these cream puff cars, right? But you need to move fast because there are other people out there like me that will go and scarf it up if you don't. A lot of people are either shifting to smaller hatchbacks or crossovers. Yeah, everybody wants these damn SUVs or crossovers or whatever, and like the RAV4 and all these things, they ride like trucks. They ride like buckboards. They're not that comfortable. You get in one of those LS sedans, a big Lexus sedan, you could go from here to California. You're gonna arrive refreshed. You're gonna be like, you know. I mean, you talk about a fantastic automobile. But these people that are buying these SUVs, they're absolutely clueless. They have no idea how good an automobile that LS sedan is. And so that's why you can sneak up on it and buy it and enjoy it and let them be clueless in their big clunky SUV. Now, if you need an SUV for whatever purposes, I can't think of the purpose right now, but if you need an SUV, like you need four-wheel drive or whatever, right, then okay. You know, like a big Suburban with four-wheel drive. But, you know, the Lexus sedan is a much better vehicle. SUV is good for winter weather, though. Well, yeah, but I don't drive in the snow. I let everybody else do all that stupid shit. Oh, I shouldn't say shit. I'm sorry. My channel here. Stupid stuff. I let other people do the stupid stuff. They let them go out and wreck their cars and all that, and then I'll wait until the street's clear, and then I'll go. Craig, what do you think of paying for a big money purchase with a money order in lieu of cash? I don't think a money order is going to impress them that much as cash. Wouldn't impress me. I'd be concerned as whether or not it was real or not. Moms like SUVs because it's easier to get kids in and out of the car seats without bending down. Without bending, I guess you meant down. Yeah, I don't know why they've gone all crazy on these damn SUVs. Personally, I hate to say it, but I'd rather get a minivan. They ride a little bit better than the SUVs. A lot of the SUVs literally ride like trucks. Some of them ride better now, but you still can't beat one of those LS sedans. And you can put a kid in the seat in the back of those. It's not that low down to the ground. I mean, they're pretty damn comfortable cars. They're just brainwashed. They're going, with the crowd. The crowd's going that direction. They're going with them. My all-wheel drive Volvo performs fine in the snow. I'm sure it does. What about Hummers? Craig, do you make any New Year's? Do you mean New Year's plans? I might be going to the Red Horse. They're having a party there. I might be going to that. I haven't decided yet. I'm not really a late night person, but I might go. They've got entertainment and all that, and it'll be a great dinner and all that kind of stuff. Red Horse Restaurant is one of my sponsors here in Frederick. So I might go to that. Do another time check here on that silky smooth. Table's still shaking. Let me try to stabilize. There we go. On that silky smooth secondhand, just moving around. And like that guy, the expert says, after 20 years, it's just going to stop. It's just going to blow up and just stop, just like that. I kind of doubt it. Okay. Toyota Sienna. That's like the minivan, huh? You can't kill those. I tried. Perfect for parents with young kids. Hi, Craig. What do you think about Teslas? I would pass on a Tesla. I had a friend that had a couple of them, and he had nothing but trouble. I don't think their quality control's that good. If they would hire Toyota to do their quality control, then they might have something. But I think they've had a lot of problems. So, yeah, I would kind of pass on those. When everyone's driving SUVs, the commanding driving position argument goes right out of the window. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, the LS sedan handles better. You get a high center of gravity. That's not good for handling. And like I say, when you're going around turns, your whole body's leaning and stuff. It's just not comfortable. You go in one of those sedans, and I mean, it's like night and day. Like my Prius rides very nice compared to like an SUV or something like that because it's got a relatively low center of gravity and it just rides nice. I had a RAV4 that I pulled behind the bus for a long time, behind the motor coach. And, I had to because the Prius you can't flat tow. So I pulled that for a long time, and I used it, and I drove it and all that, but it beats you to death. It'll knock your fillings out of your teeth, and it doesn't handle that great, and it's just so-so. And then I got a Toyota pickup with a 5-speed manual transmission because I could flat tow that, and I pulled it for a while, and it was better because it was a 2-wheel drive, and it was a little bit lower to the ground. It was better, but it was still driving a truck. So, yeah, a truck's a truck. Crossover is the sure way to get into even deeper debt and car payments buying more vehicle than you need. Well, first of all, you should always pay cash for a car. You should never borrow money to buy any vehicle. When is Clive's next live stream? So you can get somebody on there to talk about exploding spring drives. Yeah. Tesla's interior is pretty it is. They're not that comfortable. The back seat, it feels like a buckboard. There's like no padding in the seat, and your head's like almost touching the headliner. I went out to dinner with my buddy, and I rode in the back, and it was not comfortable. And he's like bragging about this car and all this stuff. I did a review on one on my channel when they first came out, back when the sedans came out, and I did one on the Roadster. I drove the Roadster when it first came out with Dave Serio. So you can search keyword Tesla on my channel here, and I've got some reviews on them. They're marginal at best, and they were fast. I mean, both of them were fast. The Roadster was fast. The sedan was fast. Tesla interior is worse than Chevy's $70,000 car with $70,000 car with economy interior. Yeah, the interior is not that good. I was thinking about more Bitcoin when it got to 3,200, but thought it might be better to wait some more. Not sure if I did the right thing. Well, see, that's the thing. We never know. We really don't. Nobody knows where the bottom is. And the problem is if you miss it and it goes crazy again, then you're like kicking yourself. And I remember back last fall when it was going crazy, and a bunch of my buddies were asking me, because they knew I was into Bitcoin. I've been into it for a long time. And a bunch of them were asking me, hey, should I buy? You know, everybody's buying. It's going crazy and all that. And I said, I wouldn't pay these kind of numbers for it. And that was when it was like, when it hit $5,000, before it even got up to 15,000, right? When it hit 5,000, I remember I interviewed my buddy, Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, here on my channel. And I think it was at like $1,200 then, $1,300, something like that, when I interviewed him. Actually, my dad interviewed him first, believe it or not, my 90-year-old dad, here on my channel. You can find the video, just search Bitcoin. And they were talking about whether or not it would get to $5,000 or not, you know? And we were like, maybe in 2019 or something, you know, it'll get there, right? And then later in the year, this was in earlier 2017, then later in the year, it started going crazy, right? And then everybody started asking me about it. And when it was at 5,000, I was telling people, man, I wouldn't pay this kind of money for it. This is insane. And then it kept going up, you know, like crazy. And then I still said, no, I would not buy it at these kinds of numbers. I don't know. I mean, I just think it's unrealistic, right? And then, of course, it crashed. But see, nobody knew for sure what the top was going to be. And then nobody knows now what the bottom is going to be. If people tell you that they think it is, they know, they really don't know. So the bottom line is you got to be very careful. You got to be conservative. You got to buy what you can afford to lose. You got to use like mad money on this stuff, right? And then it's okay, because then if you lose it, it's not going to affect your life, right? But I have some surplus money, so I'm dumping some money into it, some more money. Not that much. I might buy another 10 or 20 Bitcoin, something like that. Because I'm just kind of greedy. I just kind of want to have a nice heavy stash of Bitcoin. I want to add to my holdings. So there's that. I'm kind of into that stuff, but I'd never want to pay that kind of money. I'm not sure what you were talking about. Okay. Okay, luxury watches aren't meant to be useful. It's kind of a status symbol, if anything, like when rappers... Yeah, but they're stupid. That makes no sense. I don't think you should buy watches as some kind of a status symbol or you know, put a whole bunch of diamonds on it. I think that's all tacky, doing all that stuff. I think you should buy quality stuff that meets a need and wear it and use it. Okay? For example, this gold stunner. It meets a need. It gives me a dress watch to wear when I'm dressed up, right? That looks elegant, that looks nice, and you know, I feel comfortable wearing it and so on. I would not call that frivolous. I would call that meeting a need and being useful. That's what this whole broadcast is about, is do you really have a need for it? Is it going to be useful? Is it going to enhance your life? Is it going to make you more comfortable? Is it going to make you get your job done better? Whatever. Are there some real use cases for it? If you're just buying it because it's gaudy and you think it looks good, and it's a part of a collection and all that, that is frivolous. That's absolutely frivolous. But I don't think that makes much sense, personally. I just don't think that makes much sense. Buy something that you have a use case for. If it happens to be an 18-karat gold date 8, because you got a use case for it, then do it. Buy it and wear it and enjoy it. But don't put it in the freaking safe and you know, pamper the damn thing. Life is too short to go through it that way, I think. I still have a 2009 Saturn. Not too many problems. Main expense was the alternator. Hybrid model was expensive part. Rest is just wear and tear. Yeah, Saturns, I'm not real keen on them, but I'm kind of into that stuff, but I'd never want to pay that kind of money because I know not sure what he was talking about. I'm kind of into what? I'd buy a Lexus LS electric car over a Tesla. Oh, absolutely. If Toyota comes out with an all-electric, absolutely that would be the way to go. Electric cars are the quartz equivalent of watches. Hybrid are the car equivalent of swing drive. Yeah, well, you get a good one, like you get the Prius. My gosh, it's been bulletproof reliable. I cannot say too many good things about my Prius. If it died today, it owes me nothing. I mean, it has just been a fantastic, and I'm going to run it until it gives trouble or until it quits. That might be 20 years of use. What do you think of Nissan? I would pass on the Nissan. I mean, it'd be like 5 on the list. I would go Toyota, Honda, Subaru, and the Honda and Subaru could be interchangeable. And then I'd maybe put Nissan next. Not sure what would be next. But that'd be kind of it. Buy the watch that you love. It's what they say on the forums, and it's absolutely true. 99.99% of people won't ever notice your watch. If you're wearing a day date, yes, they will notice it. Trust me, they'll notice it. They might not know what it is, but they'll know it's 18 karat gold, and then when that sun hits it, they'll know something's up. I mean, it's hard to fake 18 karat yellow gold. I mean, you can have a plated watch, but it does not look the same. Trust me, it doesn't look the same. Clive is in the house. Hey, Clive, I dumped on your expert a little bit earlier. I kind of threw him under the bus, threw him under the motor coach a little bit. That Yamoke that was saying that the spring drives are going to blow up after 20 years. Talk about a guy that's absolutely freaking clueless. I threw him under the bus, and then I backed up and pulled over him again. But it's okay. The folks in the chat will back me up when I said I love your show. But that guy was clueless. A poser, somebody pretending to be a watch guy. So I bet I have 20 times more watch hours, more high-end watch wrist hours than he does. Clive, are you streaming? Yeah, they've been asking the whole damn show about when the hell you're going to be streaming. Like, my spring drive didn't last 20 days. Yeah, you're the guy. You're the guy that the exception to the rule. Eric, that poor guy. He's got a bunch of tutors. He buys a decent watch for once, and then the thing screws up on him. Talk about a guy that's got bad luck. I'll tell you what. Maybe. So they've been asking me all freaking night, Clive, when you're going to stream. So would you do us all a favor? Was it a bus or a premium pre-owned motor coach? It was a motor coach. It was a Wander Lodge. A Wander Lodge motor coach. Yeah, I threw him right underneath those huge freaking wheels. 40,000 pounds worth of coach. Tore his ass up. Excuse my French. But anyway, so anyway, Clive, if you would just come into the show in the beginning and tell them when you're going to start broadcasting, so that way they don't have to ask me throughout the whole damn show. Every other question is, hey, when's Clive going to be on the show? When's Clive going to start streaming? When's Clive going to take a you-know-what? I mean, every other question is something about Clive. Spring drive is the way to go. Craig, you misunderstood my point. Rappers wear their diamond watches. They don't care if they damage them. But when kids see all the bling they have, it's a status symbol, and it's how rappers make. Well, yeah, if they're using it as a tool, if they're using it as a prop, if they're using it as part of their show or whatever, hey, sure, what the hell? I mean, yeah. But I'm talking about normal people here. I'm talking about, you know, the average Yamoke that goes out and buys these ugly watches and collects them and doesn't wear them. And it's just a recipe for disaster, you know. Buy watches you love and wear the damn things and use them. Life is too short to for all this other stuff. Now, if you're just loaded to the gills with cash like Clive, then hell yeah, you could just warehouse watches. I mean, you know, it's no big deal. You know, he's probably got warehouses full of all kinds of expensive stuff. You know, when you got that kind of money, you just don't know what to do with it. Wait, were you the guy who ran over Don at the McDonald's? Yeah, that would have been me. Rappers likely borrow the Patek just to shoot their music videos. How to make Craig very annoyed with you. Keep asking about Clive doing a live show. Actually, it doesn't bother me anymore. I'm used to it now. They've been asking so often that, you know, it's just like background noise now. Craig, you need footage of going into a premium airport business lounge and eating 50 free pancakes. I love pancakes, though. I like French toast even better. But, man, I would blow up like a balloon. Wear your watches in good health. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So I'm just trying to make the argument here that if you buy the watches for a task and you actually use them for that task and they actually benefit you, that is not frivolous. What brought this up, Clive, was Tim used the term frivolous in one of his videos recently. You know, the Watchbox Tim, that guy. And I love him. I think he's a genius. But anyway, he talked about how these watches are frivolous anyway, was the point he made, you know. And I said, yeah, if you're just buying them to collect them, you're not using them, you don't have any real use case for them, you're just buying them because you like them, you know, it's like a love affair, then absolutely that's frivolous, unless you're loaded. Like Clive, yeah, waffles, absolutely, Belgian waffles. Oh my gosh, and little bit of vanilla ice cream on the side, some whipped cream with it. Yeah, I used to go to the down at, when I was a member of the country club. We had a minimum we'd have to spend. So I'd go on Sundays. I'd go to the brunch, you know, there. And my gosh, the waffles and everything they had there. And then I had to take the whole group down at the resort that I stayed at. I had to take the whole group, like 20 people there one time because I was getting towards the end of the year and I hadn't spent my minimum. So I took like 20 people to that thing and we all pigged out. But I've since canceled the golf membership that requires that minimum spend, so I don't have to do that anymore. That was a rip-off. $6,000 a year, and then you got to pay for a certain amount in the restaurant, you know, a certain minimum you got to spend. Archie Luxury is a pig. I wonder how he can afford to live unemployed and buy all these expensive two-toned and one gold Rolex. All are Rolex now. He could just be making it all up. There, absolutely, that's possible. So it's an act. He's a showman. If Craig ate 50 free pancakes, he'd have to spend the whole 18-hour New York to Singapore flight pacing up and down the aisle. Well, I'll tell you what, you can't burn those kind of calories. I mean, I don't care how much you exercise. You can't do it. I had a buddy down at Sun and Fun Resort. I used to winter down there. This winter, I'm not going down there. But anyway, he used to try to exercise to make up for his eating. And I mean, he was exercising all the freaking time. Every time I went to the gym, he was on like the stationary bike or on the treadmill or whatever. And this guy's exercising like 12 hours a day. And I said, listen, I said, that 12 hours you just exercised, I said, that didn't even cancel out the 2 pieces of pie that you had last night. The guy's like, 250 pounds. It's not helping, right? I mean, you cannot exercise if you eat the way we would all like to eat, I mean, you just can't exercise enough to make up for that. It's just almost impossible if you're older, and your metabolism's necessarily lower anyway. Spring drive, to watch your kids will hate to inherit. And that's the other thing. These people are talking about, it's not like a Patek, where like, you're going to hand it down to other generations and all this stuff. You think that this next generation, you think they're going to give a rat's rear end about your watches? They could give a damn. These people are delusional. I mean, they don't have a freaking clue. They would just as soon you just get rid of that piece of crap watch and just give them some cash. They're probably going to take the thing and pawn it as soon as they get it. They could give a damn about this stuff. I mean, be realistic, people. Frivolous is buying a Rolex DSSD. What's a DSSD? So few people need or will ever use. Oh, okay, the deep sea thing. Okay, yeah. Oh, those real thick, like 17 millimeter thick watches. I mean, that one guy had one at Steve's show. I mean, it was ridiculous. He has like a 6.5-inch wrist, and he had the thing on. He was like, man, I wanted this my whole life. I've been saving up, He was so proud of that damn watch. Man, it looked ridiculous. Poor guy. It looked absolutely ridiculous. So Tim is unbelievable. But if you listen between the lines, he will let out some sage advice occasionally. Like one time he said that you shouldn't borrow to buy a watch. He said, I'll probably get fired for saying this, I mean, he said some things that really are down to earth and make sense. And I guess they keep him around just because he's so smart and so good at everything else he does that they let him say things like that occasionally. Because they probably know people aren't going to listen anyway. People are still going to whip out their credit card and buy the watch they can't afford anyhow. So, but he says some things that make a lot of sense sometimes. He also will show a lot of real ugly watches and act like they're something. I mean, I'm talking ugly watches. So, I've heard Elvis and his grandmates flew back on their private jet, downing multiple Fool's Gold sandwiches and dozens of bottles of champagne. Okay. One word answer, Tanzeel. Not sure what that is, but Joey Chestnut has the record for eating pancake. You think Clive should hold off on investing in more tutors until they adopt the maxi case? Oh my God. Talk about an ugly watch. Can you imagine? Oh God. How they could make a tutor even uglier. Yeah. Put a even clunkier case on them. They're already too thick, most of them. They're junk, walking or riding. I mean, there's just nothing about them that's desirable. Just pass on that whole subject matter. Scott S.J., the word investing and the word tutor. Watches in general are an expense and not an investment. There you go, Simon. That's right. The new generation today don't even wear watches. That's a good point. Can you imagine these kids? They've gone through public school, right? They don't have a clue to start with, right? And you're trying to hand them down a Patek Philippe perpetual calendar with a damn chime or some sort of shit. Excuse my French. And you think these kids, you're handing them down a $500,000 watch. They're not going to have a clue what the damn thing is. Oh my God. Box and papers. What the hell are you talking about? Oh boy. Tim was talking about these people that go on vacation. These rich people go on vacation around Christmas time, and they go to the islands, and they go on the cruise ship, like the Queen Mary or whatever, right? They buy a Patek Philippe, and they leave there without the box and papers. They just take the watch, and the box and papers are still at the place, right? They never get the box and papers. And then they realize 5 years later that, the watch isn't worth squat because they don't have any documentation. These people are absolutely clueless, half of them. They use their cell phones. They don't need to know the time because they don't work anyway. What the hell they need to know the time for? This is terrible. This whole chat session is going way downhill, way off the rails here. The world record scuba dive is around 300 meters. It took 14 hours. David, oh my God. Come on, don't bring facts into the discussion here. Facts, we don't need them. The Wrangler has an excellent show. So do you, Craig. Learn a lot, thanks. Like Bark and Jack, and AC3 is the best. Kids these days probably don't even wear. Hell no, they don't wear watches. Public schools don't even teach kids how to read an analog clock nowadays. Oh my gosh. A lot of kids these days don't know how to tell time with a watch with hands. And you're going to give them a minute repeater. Can you imagine, they're sitting around the mahogany desk of the lawyer, and he's saying, to Eddie Jr., he gets the Patek Philippe minute repeater. That kid. Are you kidding? Come on, you guys. You got to be freaking kidding me. You're not serious that these watches are inheritances. This guy laying sideways on Clive's bed is talking about an inheritance. Oh, my God. I'm not going to be able to continue the show. This is absolutely unbelievable. Let's get a time check. Time check. Oh, jeez. He's going to give the kid, the public school educated kid, a minute repeater. Oh, God, help us. Oh, geez, I don't think I can continue. $500,000 watch. The kid with his freaking Android phone. Oh, jeez. Oh, man. He's going to go to the pawn shop, and they're going to say, what in the hell is this? Where'd you get this Patek Philippe? Oh, man. I can't read. My eyes are tearing up. I can't read. Let's see. Unfortunately, it's probably true. Most people inheriting watches will probably sell them, and probably sell them for a fraction of what they're worth. You're better off selling it before you die and giving them the money, because they're not going to know how to liquidate that watch. You better give them some clear instructions what to do, because they're not going to know. When you're in your mom's basement eating off-brand potato chips, then you don't need a watch, because that's the least of your worries. Well, you don't have any worries. My God, you don't have to get up in the morning. You don't, you just, you eat, potato chips all day. I mean, what worry do you have? Sorry, getting a call from Vintage Rolex Watches. Back in a sec. There you go. We don't need facts. We only need potato chips, basement, and pictures of GS. That is a nice watch indeed. What watch? My kids will want my watches as much as they will want to continue running the family farm. No joke. They're going to liquidate that farm real quick, too. You'll still be warm in the grave, and they'll be talking to realtors. I'm thinking of getting, it's sad to say that, but I mean, that's the way it is. I'm thinking of getting a new Everest strap. Darn, they're expensive. You never really own a Rolex steel sports watch. You merely look after it for the next flipper. Archie needs to start liking GS so Craig will hate it. Archie's already said good things about GS. And he said good things about my diver on the video he did for me. This one here. He said good things about it. He said good things about the snowflake. I've got a quote on my Grand Seiko page on my website. I've got a quote from Archie Luxury on there. So he's already in the camp. I think we've solved all the world's problems at this point, unless you guys can think of anything else. Ask Clive when he comes back. I don't know if he's coming back or not, but if he's coming back, ask him if he will join us in the show. When I'm going to be doing some hangout-based shows down at the Durwood Estate. I'm going down there on Friday, and I'm going to be doing some shows when everybody's out, like, shopping and goofing off and doing the things they do, and I'm hanging out. I'll probably do some broadcasts. I like to send them all out somewhere gallivanting around, and I can relax and eat and do a broadcast. So think about who's going to join me in the broadcast, who I can send links to so they can join me in the hangout. See if Clive can join me. Archie probably won't join me because he doesn't do shit for free. So he probably won't join us. But see who will see who we can scare up to join us in the hangout. We can have up to 10 people in there, right? So see what we can do on that. You all have any ideas? The chat is looking awful funny here. Well, I asked Archie if he would ever own a Grand Seiko over Rolex, and he said he wouldn't. Well, that's the politically correct thing to say. But he's already gone on record of saying that it's a better watch. So he's already said that. Just because it's a better watch doesn't mean that people want to own it. Some people just want the name Rolex, and they realize it's not as good a watch, but that's what they want. And then I respect that. No problem with that. I wore Rolexes for 40 years. I didn't know any better. I hadn't seen a GS in person, so I didn't know. I learned, 5-6 months ago now. I first saw one in person. I saw them on the internet before that, but the first time I saw one in person was 6 months ago when I bought the diver. So I didn't know any better. That's the nice watch. That grain Seiko thing on your... Okay, so you're talking about the diver, the one I just showed. Okay. Great live stream yet again, Craig. Thanks for your time. Well, thank you, Thomas, for coming out, and hopefully you can join us in one of our Christmas shows. I do not do Christmas. My family's a bunch of bad folks to visit. Okay, well, there you go. Everybody would vote for Audrey. I mean, there's no doubt about that. It's been a fun tonight. Stay well, people. Okay, get Clive on your hangout for sure. Well, ask him if he'll come. My vote is for Audrey. Yeah, Audrey probably won't come in. She just is not doing anything on the internet at all. She did a couple shows a couple months ago, but she is just... she cannot take the negative comments. She cannot take the trolls. Sad, but that's just got a speck on my glass again. So yeah, so she probably won't be coming in. It'd be nice if she did. She's so nice, and I cannot believe trolls. Can you imagine? I mean, what do they gain by making insulting, stupid comments on Audrey's videos? I mean, it makes no sense at all that these people would do that. Hi, Craig and the group. Nowadays, kids do not have watches. They have cell phones that they're holding. Yeah, but it doesn't do them any good if they don't look at it to see what the time is. I mean, they don't even need to know half the time what time it is. They're not doing anything productive, so why the hell would they need to know what time it is? With both hands, it is getting larger instead of smaller. Their ears are plugged with wireless earpieces that are hanging out from the ears like long discharge from the nose. I have the AirPods that also I use when I'm walking. I listen to podcasts. Good live stream. Have a happy holiday. Yeah, we'll try to have a happy holiday. I used to troll. I don't do that. Well, good. I mean, especially somebody like Audrey, who you don't have to watch that many of her videos to know that she's a sensitive person, very nice, very sensitive person. And she does have some self-esteem issues as well. A lot of gorgeous young ladies have that problem, believe it or not. You would think not, but a lot of them have some self-esteem issues and stuff like that. And then these trolls are going to put stupid, insulting comments on her videos. I mean, my God, how low life a person do you have to be? My mom used to always say, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And that's what those trolls should do. They should just not say anything at all. What happened to Ryan that you used to give a hard time to? There are 2 trolls that I blocked. I don't remember which 2, but I did block 2 trolls that were really being nasty. You got to be really nasty for me to block you. And those 2 were being really nasty, so I blocked them. The negative people, the trolls, they should at least use their real names. It wouldn't help. I mean, if they're going to be nasty like that and say just totally ludicrous things that they pull out of their where, I don't care what name they use. I mean, they have no place on the internet as far as I'm concerned. And I think hackers are even worse. People that hack into people's computers and steal personal information and, just wreak havoc and extort people and the stuff that hackers do. It wouldn't break my heart if they just took them out and shot them. It really wouldn't. The internet is such a great thing and can be such a great tool for humanity, but then you get these jerks that want to try to ruin it for everybody. Hey, I have Rolex. Do not troll me, please. I will cry. Hey, I love Rolex. I don't like some of the newer case designs on some of the sport watches and all. I would pass on those. But the ones with the more traditional oyster case. Oh, excuse me. Oh boy. Yeah, the more traditional case design. Absolutely, I like those. All right, I am going to wrap it up. I think Clive has left the house. So, and I think we've pretty much solved most of the world's problems at this point. Unless somebody can think of something that I haven't touched on, I'll give a few seconds here for anybody to put a comment in there because there's a little delay. Rolex are not GS, so they're ugly and less accurate. Well, they are less accurate than a spring drive. My gosh, Rolex can't touch that. And some of the newer case designs are not attractive, I'll put it that way. I would pass on the maxi case. Rolex and Tudor are the same, right? I have Grand Seiko, Rolex, and Omega. Do not have Patek. Okay. Still here on a call. All right, so I guess Clive can't tell us if he can be on the live stream, but Great live stream, Craig. Is there anybody else that can be on, that has a webcam that can be on? Enjoy your dinner, Craig. I will try. Rolex and Tudor are not GS, so they are the same. Rolex trumps Tudor every time. Waste of money. Hi, Clive. Okay, he's on a phone call doing some kind of a deal. Okay, he's back. Okay, so Clive, are you willing to come into a hangout later in the end of the week? I'm going down to the Durwood estate, and I'm going to do some hangouts on air from there over the holidays. I'll probably be down there until the first of the year. Who can we get to come in a hangout? They all want you in there, Clive. And who else can we get to come in a hangout? Like the end of this week. Hey, Clive, are you streaming later? I'm thinking of trading in my Patek as a down payment for a Seiko 5. Well, there you go. Do you still wear the click glasses? No, I don't wear them very often. I do have them in the car, and I use them occasionally when I need my hands free and I want to use them, but I don't wear them that often. To answer your question. But I got tons of reading glasses all over the place, laying everywhere, and it's just a mess. It is what it is. Tudor are great watches. Clive, you do not have to wear pants on this chat. I never wear pants on the chat. Clive is not GS, so no point watching him. He'll end up getting a GS. He'll come over to the dark side at some point. I don't think Archie will come on because he's he only does stuff for money. He'd be smart to come on because at least he's going to reach a different audience and he might be able to get some more subscribers. He might pick up some subscribers, some people that don't know about him. He might not too, but you never know. Archie is busy tonight polishing his woman's shoe collection. Get Adrian from Bark and Jack. He may or may not come on. I don't, who knows? I'll give you guys the link. I mean, when we do it, I'll give you guys the link and you can try to get whoever you think you can get in. Start thinking about who you can get in. Is there a woman under the table, Craig? Not right now, not currently. If the table starts like shaking uncontrollably at some point, then that might be a situation. Archie is way too annoying. Is he always that way, though? I don't know if he's always that way. AC3. Agreed. No, Archie, please. Let's see. Will AC3 do more work for free? Woman under the table and no pants should come in a... There you go. I thought you banned the two trolls. Well, two trolls. Yeah, I banned two different trolls. I don't remember who they were. Maybe you guys remember, but anyway, there are two trolls that I blocked. Yeah, Tim is a genius, but I don't think he would come on. If you want me on, type 1. Okay, anybody that wants Clive on, type 1. Do another time check while we still got. Yeah, everybody wants Clive. Everybody's putting ones in there. Who's two? Who's number two? We didn't ask about a number 2. Oh, my goodness. This whole situation's totally out of control. All right. Well, we're going to wrap. I don't know if I'm going to do any more broadcasts from here until I get down to the Durwood estate, but I'll definitely try to do some broadcasts from there because there's going to be some times when I'm going to be there alone and I won't have anything better to do. So, and I got, hey, got high-speed internet. Why not do it, Pass on the Flyover channel, New York, 1909. Anybody who wants Clive to do a live stream tonight, type 1. Well, of course they want him to do a live stream. They've been asking about it all freaking night. You don't have to do that. He knows, that you guys want him to do a live stream. Durwood, Maryland. Yes, it's Durwood, Maryland. Go to DurwoodEstate.com. DurwoodEstate.com, and you'll see some photos and stuff. Over the years, I've done a lot of work down there. We got a real good buy. It was a repo. People didn't pay their bill, and it was a repo. So 2 acres of ground right near the metro. That's the last metro right there in Gaithersburg. It's the last stop on that line. And you can literally walk on a decent day from the house to the metro. And yet we got 2 acres of ground. Got chickens there with eggs. Got goats. A lot of work, though. I've done a lot of work on that place over the years, but it's fun. What time will that broadcast be? Are you talking about Clive's broadcast or my broadcast later in the week? If the Hangout needs bling, get producer Michael. Great edition of Cowgirls Live last night. I think she's Redland Road. No, it's across from Needwood Country Club. I'm not going to tell you any closer than that, but it's right near Needwood Country Club, right across from the country club. There's a bunch of places there with acreage, and that's where she blows. That's where she blows. Why, are you local, Scott? You know the area? Your broadcast, I think. I'm going to do a number of them. So I'm going to do one probably on Friday, probably around 4 or 5 o'clock-ish Eastern time. And we can do one as kind of like a planning session, hang out and get some people in and figure it out. And then we can figure out who else we can invite and we can plan for another one or whatever. I'm going to be down there for a while. So, and I'm going to be using Hangouts on Air. I'm not going to be using this setup I have here with the Video Pro. I'm going to be doing Hangout on Air. So I'll be able to bring in whoever we want to bring in to the shows, as long as they're going to be, family friendly and decent. No, Craig, Scott's not local. Have you ever read Misery? I hear you, Scott. I've lived in Gaithersburg, Maryland for almost 22 years, and Rockville from the age of 12 to 32. Well, there you go. I went to Magruder High School. Probably know where that is. I was born in Bethesda. And I lived in Bethesda on and off for a number of years. I had 2 different places in the Promenade complex there at Pooks Hill Road, Bethesda. 2 different apartments there at 2 different times. And I built the website promenadetowers.com, and the realtor who I deal with down there is the exclusive realtor on there. So we own promenadetowers.com. So the website for the whole damn complex, we own it, and he does all the real estate business in there. None of the other realtors can even get a listing in that place. It's a big complex. Twin towers, 18 stories tall. I mean, there's a ton of apartments in there. And he's like it. He's like the guy, because we own PromenadeTowers.com. So I went to Walter Johnson High School. Well, there you go. Thoughts on Tudor for the first watch? Oh my God! Just cut my throat. By the way, the razor, the timeless razor, has been fantastic. I've shaved 4 times with it now, and now it's to the point where I just shave with it. I don't even think about it. I mean, no cuts, no nothing. I just do 2 passes, and I get a nice close shave. It is absolutely fantastic. And the Vikings blades, I've done 4 shaves, I think, with the Vikings blades. And they're, I might get another shave out of them. Might get 5 shaves with no problem. Craig is made in the U.S., unlike GS. Not sure if it's good. Yes, I wish a high-end watch manufacturer still made watches in the U.S., but nobody makes them really, in the U.S. Some people assemble some watches here, but I mean, nobody really makes them, the whole thing in the U.S. So I don't mind buying stuff made in Japan. I don't mind buying stuff made in Germany. I don't mind buying stuff made in Canada. I don't mind buying stuff made in England. I just don't like buying stuff made in China. I will go out of my way to avoid that. Now, sometimes I can't reasonably avoid it because I use Sony's for cameras, and some of them are made there. But I try to get, like, their high-end lenses. I try to get some that are made in Japan if I can. Do you have a discount code for Timeless? I'd love to get one. Unfortunately, I don't. But talk to them there. They're just some brothers. And tell them that you know me. Call them on the phone, or send them an email. Tell them that you know me, and see if they'll do something for you. I'll tell you what, I'll put the email in the chat for my contact there. He seems like a really good guy. His name is Matt. Actually, here's a phone number. I think it'd be better just to call the guy. The email is just sales at timelessrazor.com. But here's all of his information. So I think you should reach out to him and see what he'll do for you. Tell him you know me. He might double the price on you. Some quality clothing is made in Portugal, maybe. But see, you can buy some really good clothes that are made in USA. Now, you might need to go vintage. So that 440, the phone number starts at 440. It kind of ran together when I copied and pasted all that in there. But the 440-230, that's the phone number. And his email address is just sales@timelessrazor.com. But I would talk to Matt if you're serious. I think he'll work something out for you. Okay, I'm going to wrap it. I'm going to wrap this broadcast. I didn't know Timeless was in Ohio. Man, they're good folks. Watch their videos about them. They're impressive folks. He says he's going to send me some more things to review, some of their leather bags and some stuff. So if he does, I'll do some more reviews on some of their stuff. I'm impressed with them. And I'll tell you what, that razor, I'm just impressed with how quick I picked it up. And now I'm able to use it without any issues, because I can easily cut myself shaving. I can cut myself with any razor, If I'm not careful, I'm in a hurry. But this one is very forgiving and just really, I'm super impressed. And I'm not just saying that, because because they're good folks. But I'm just really impressed. And what I do is I heat it up under the water, the warm water, get it nice and warm, because you know that bronze conducts the heat nicely. So then it feels nice and warm when you're shaving with it. I've seen most of the timeless videos, and they actually keep stock. They work. They're actually working. Have a good one, Craig. Yep, take care. Live stream in 40 minutes. There you go. Good. Okay, everybody, take a little break, get a little something to eat, and then head over to Clive's live stream. This was the warm-up show. The real show, the varsity show, starts in about 40 minutes. So there you go. We're going to bring the varsity team out. Earlier, he says he bought a consignment. There you go. All right, everybody. Hey, remember, the next 2 weeks, the next 2 Mondays, no Cowgirls live show, because next Monday is Christmas Eve, and then the next Monday after that is New Year's Eve. So she's taking off the next 2 weeks. So the next show will be 3 weeks from yesterday. Yeah, 3 weeks from yesterday. So we'll see you there. Take care, everybody. Thanks again for watching and commenting and all those good things. And if you didn't comment on Sarah's show last night, go back on my channel, go to videos, and please comment. Put in some encouraging comments. Not nasty comments like Archie always asks for. Put in positive, nice, warm comments. All right, everybody. See you next time.